हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, आइए चलिए आज हम पढ़ते हैं कॉमर्स के कुछ एमसीक्यूज। आई एम मिस कंवलप्रीत कौरपुरी फ्रॉम मुंबई। आई एम नेट एंड सेट क्वालिफाइड बोथ इन द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ कॉमर्स। तो जैसे कि आपको पता है, मैं आपको यूजीसी एनटीए नेट के लिए गाइड करती हूँ और मेरी प्रीवियस वीडियोस में मुझे बहुत अच्छा आपसे सपोर्ट मिला है और मुझे काफी रिक्वेस्ट आती है कि हम कॉमर्स के टॉपिक्स भी डिस्कस की करें। तो इसलिए मैंने कल भी अपनी वीडियो में कॉमर्स से स्टार्ट किया था, कुछ एमसीक्यूज मैंने डिस्कस किए थे और आज भी मैं आपके साथ कुछ कॉमर्स के ही क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस करने वाली हूँ। तो पहले आज हम ये न्यूज देख लेते हैं, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा मानती हूँ कि जब हम टीचर्स बन जाते हैं और स्पेशली जब हम नेट सेट एग्जामिनेशन दे रहे हैं तो कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन हमें हमेशा जरूरी याद रखनी है। तो लेट्स एनालाइज दिस। UGC fellowships research grants for single child retired faculty. As I am from Mumbai, this is from the Times of India edition of Mumbai. The University Grants Commission on Sunday announced the launch of 5 fellowship and research grants, including those for single child and retired faculty members on teachers. तो संडे को यूजीसी ने अनाउंस किया है 5 फेलोशिप और रिसर्च ग्रांट्स। तो देख लेते हैं ये किसके लिए। The 5 schemes to be launched on Monday are Savitribai Jyotirao Phule Fellowship for Single Child, तो ये सिंगल चाइल्ड के लिए बेनिफिशियल है। डॉक्टर राधाकृष्णन यूजीसी पोस्ट डॉक्टोरल फेलोशिप, पोस्ट डॉक्टोरल मतलब पीएचडी होने के बाद। फेलोशिप फॉर सुपर एन्यूटेड फैकल्टी मेंबर्स मतलब जो रिटायर्ड हो चुके हैं। रिसर्च ग्रांट फॉर इन सर्विस फैकल्टी मेंबर्स जो सर्विस पर है। एंड डॉक्टर DS कोठारी रिसर्च ग्रांट फॉर न्यूली रिक्रूटेड फैकल्टी मेंबर्स, तो ये फैकल्टी मेंबर्स जो न्यूली अपॉइंटेड है। The fellowship for superannuated faculty members is been launched with an aim to provide research opportunities to retired teachers. तो ये superannuated रहते हैं जो retired हो चुके, तो उनके लिए opportunity है जो मेरे हिसाब से बहुत अच्छी स्कीम है। There are 100 slots available for this fellowship and selected candidates will be given ₹50,000 per month. Okay, तो ये कौन सी है? ये हमारे पास जो फेलोशिप आ रही है ये उन्होंने दी है 50,000 पर मंथ as part of the fellowship and ₹50,000 per annum as contingency. ठीक है, contingency रहता है जो हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर होता है, जैसे अगर आप साइंस से तो लैब पर जो खर्चा होता है या स्टेशनरी एंड ऑल। The research grant for in-service faculty members seek to provide research opportunities to regularly appointed faculty members. The quantum of support under the scheme is ₹10 lakh, which will be provided to 200 selected candidates for a tenure of 2 years. तो ये बता रहे कितना सपोर्ट है स्कीम के अंदर, 10 lakhs which will be provided. तो कितने कैंडिडेट्स को मिलेगा? ये 200 selected candidates for a tenure मतलब 2 years की ड्यूरेशन के लिए. The Dr. DS Kothari grant for newly recruited faculty members will provide research opportunities to regularly appointed faculty members. ठीक है, तो ये DS कोठारी रिसर्च ग्रांट है जो न्यूली अपॉइंटेड फैकल्टीज है उनके लिए। The quantum of support under the scheme is ₹10 lakh, तो इनको भी 10 लाख मिल रहा है, which will be provided to 132 selected candidates for a tenure of 2 years. तो लेट्स सी ये जब हमारे फाइनली रहते हैं तो देखिए यूजीसी की बहुत सारी अच्छी अच्छी स्कीम्स है, जैसे हमारा जूनियर रिसर्च फेलोशिप रहता है वैसे अब इन्होंने अच्छा इनिशिएटिव लिया है, तो लेट्स होप फॉर द बेस्ट। तो आप जरूर ये चीज से अपने आप को अवेयर रखिए क्योंकि आपको ये क्वेश्चंस हमारे पेपर 1 के सिलेबस में आ सकता है, or as a teachers, as learners, or when you're specially appointed as lecturers in degree colleges or maybe in the universities, you should be aware about all these schemes. All this can become your questions of net examination. So right from how many schemes to schemes for whom, such as the retired faculty or single girl child, okay? Name of the schemes, ये सब आपको note down करना जरूरी है। तो आइए हम स्टडी करते हैं कॉमर्स के MCQs। चलिए देखते हैं, पहला क्वेश्चन है, when the data are classified only on the basis of descriptive characteristics which cannot be quantified and known as. Now this question is from which subject? This you will comment me, okay? So today this is a homework for you because when we start studying preparation for net set examination, I always advise my students first understand your syllabus. Okay, sometimes what happens, we don't even know the topic name and we don't even know from where this topic is coming. So it becomes very essential to understand the syllabus. I always repeat in my each and every session that keep yourself updated with your syllabus. So now this question is talking about the data which is classified only on the basis of descriptive. Now if you have see in my yesterday's video, I have given you a description that what is descriptive or quantitative and qualitative. Okay. Now, before I answer this question, now let's quickly understand that what is the hint in the question. Now, data. Okay, what is data? First, we should know. Any information which comes to you becomes a data. And in this digital age, we are bombarded with lots of information. Okay, but what information we want, what is meaningful for that? Okay, we need to extract that information, so that becomes data. Okay, the roll number of the students is also data for the college. But what we are supposed to do with the roll number? Okay, so that you understand. So any meaningful information which we can extract becomes your data. Okay, so the data which is classified only on the basis. Now they're talking about descriptive characteristics. See, whatever I have highlighted becomes the key to solve the question, which cannot be quantified, okay, which cannot be numbered. Now, this is only the hint. Anything which can be quantified becomes quantitative. So let's analyze the options. Is it geographical classification? Is it chronological classification? Is it qualitative classification, or is it quantitative classification? If you are my student and if you know the concept of what is descriptive, what is quantification, or what is qualitative, then you can easily understand that the correct answer here is, okay, you can give me in the comment box. But yes, now before I give you the correct answer, let's understand what is quantitative and what is qualitative. Okay, now see, qualitative data is information that can't be expressed as a number. So any information which cannot be expressed in number. I give you an example that beauty. For some, Deepika Padukone may be the best heroine. Okay, maybe because you love her, and for some, Aishwarya Rai may be the best hero. So this is something beauty is descriptive, the opinions of the people, which we cannot easily quantify. Okay, whereas in case of quantitative data is the data that can be expressed as a number or can be quantified. So just remember from the name itself, qualitative means some opinions, description, whereas quantitative means number. Okay, can be counted. Qualitative data, no, because as it is written in the first line that it can't be expressed as a number. Whereas in case of quantitative data, yes. Data type, it can be the words, the objects, the pictures, the observation and symbols other than the numbers. Whereas in case of quantitative data, these are the number and statistics. Again, if we see this overview, example, oil painting, and oil painting, another with also example for quantitative data. Now, when you look at the qualitative data, how you will describe that oil painting? The colors, blue, green. Okay, so here nothing is described in numbers. The golden frame, the smells, maybe the texture, the scene of the country, whatever, and the brush strokes. But whereas when you're going to express or describe it in numbers, it becomes a picture size, okay, the frame size, the weight of this oil painting, or the surface area, cost. So anything that can be quantified comes under quantitative data. Okay, so this is very clear. Now let's go back to the question. What was the question? When the data are classified only on the basis of descriptive characters, that is non-numerical, which cannot be quantified. Again, without numbers, it is known as qualitative. Okay, so you understand what is geographical, the location, area. Chronological, as we all know, it is sequence. Maybe if we talk about time period, okay, so 2000, then 2010, then 2020. Qualitative is other than numbers. So here they are talking about which cannot be quantified, and quantitative is the number. Okay. So today the question was on data, on the descriptive characteristics. Tomorrow the question can be on quantitative, or maybe it's some features or practical based question. I always repeat in all my sessions that whenever we study one question, we are studying 4 topics. So here you understand that we are studying about qualitative classification. We are studying about quantitative. We should understand what is data. And tomorrow the question can be practical based also. Okay. So now let's quickly move on to the next question. Now this is from business statistics and research methods. I always say this is one of the most important topic, because once we enter into teaching profession, we need to boost our career by writing research papers and undertaking research. Okay, so let's see. These are statement based questions. The first statement is when the null hypothesis is true, but as per the hypothesis testing, it is rejected. It is known as beta type error in hypothesis testing. Second statement talks about chi-square. Okay, it is pronounced as chi-square. Chi-square test is exclusively a non-parametric test. So there are 2 statements. Okay. Now, we have given 4 options. Either both the statements are true, or both are false, or statement 1 is true while statement 2 is false. And 4th option is statement 1 is false while statement 2 is true. Now see, I have highlighted null hypothesis. I have highlighted beta type error and chi-square and non-parametric. If you understand the keywords, then answer solving becomes very easy. Now, before we understand this topic, let's understand what is hypothesis. Hypothesis, you can say it is a tentative. Okay, something which is not yet proven. It may be true, it may be false. Okay, if I talk about that today is Monday and tomorrow will be Tuesday, it is nothing to be proven because it is a fact. Sun is hot. Nothing is to be proven because it is already proved. So facts cannot be tested, but there are certain things which may, when we undertake a research, they may be proven as correct or incorrect. So it can be a tentative hunch. Okay, it can be a tentative guess which remains to be proven. Okay, so null hypothesis. Now, what is null and alternate? We'll understand that. Then we need to understand when they're talking about beta type error, if it is not the correct answer, then what is the other thing for beta error? And what is chi-square test and what is non-parametric? Okay, so even if you know the answer, how you need to study is you need to study what is null hypothesis and alternate. Okay, now null hypothesis is hypothesis where there is no difference. Okay, when I talk about commerce and arts students, okay, suppose I'll give you an example. My hypothesis is commerce students are better than art students. Okay, so if I talk about, then in another sentence, I say there is no difference between commerce students and art students. So whenever there is no difference, it becomes your null hypothesis. So null hypothesis is a statement about a population parameter, whereas an alternative hypothesis, a statement that directly contradicts the null hypothesis. It is exactly the opposite of the null hypothesis. Under null hypothesis, we test the likelihood of this statement being true in order to decide whether to accept or reject. So on what grounds, on what basis we are going to say whether null hypothesis is acceptable or the alternate. Under null alternative, we determine whether or not to accept or reject this statement based on the likelihood of the null hypothesis being true. So either you are going to accept the null hypothesis or the alternate. Okay. Now let's understand alternate hypothesis and null hypothesis in a different manner. Alternate hypothesis is a hypothesis you want to prove. Okay. And null hypothesis is, as I told you, the exact opposite. Now, example, if the flowers are counted, there will be only yellow flowers. And in null hypothesis, we can say there will be no significant, see, no word. So it becomes neutral. There will be no significant difference between the expected flower color and the observed. But in the alternate hypothesis, we are talking about the yellow flowers, whereas in the null hypothesis, there is no mention about the yellow flower because it is neutral. Okay, no difference. If leaves are exposed to more sunlight, then they will be larger than leaves that receive less sunlight. Under null hypothesis, we state there will be no significant difference in the size of the leaf. See, so whenever we use a word no significant difference or there is no difference or both are equal, it means it is a null hypothesis. But whether we are giving some direction, it becomes your alternative hypothesis. Now this other part, whether we accept or reject, it is little technical, which we can discuss in the coming videos with a different question. Okay, now this is hypothesis. You can see this matrix. Okay, so it decides when is the right decision or when it is the incorrect decision. How to read this? I'm sure you know how to read this matrix. Okay, when we accept, when we fail. Okay, so when acceptance true, if we talk about hypothesis, we accept the null hypothesis when it is true. It is right decision. Okay, if we fail to accept this null hypothesis, okay, then it becomes incorrect decision. This is known as alpha error. This is known as beta error. And this is the right decision. Okay, so let's understand this. Now see, null hypothesis is true, the true statement of the nature. Null hypothesis is false. Now see, there are two types of error, type 1 error, okay, and type 2 error. Now what is type 1 error? You are rejecting a true null hypothesis. And type 2 error is accepting a false null hypothesis. Okay, so now what was our statement? When the null hypothesis is true, but as per the hypothesis testing, it is rejected. It is known as beta type error. Okay, so this is incorrect because when the null hypothesis is true, but we reject it, it is known as alpha. Okay, so that is known as the alpha error. It is not known as the beta type error. It is, and that is called as the significance. Okay, so understand. See, from this only we need to understand what is hypothesis, what is null hypothesis, what is alternative. Now, what is type 1 error? Again, we can discuss it in depth in the coming questions. So, what is type 1 error? What is type 2 error? when it is correct or when it is incorrect, what is beta value, what is alpha. Okay, so from one slide only we can frame so many questions. Okay, so let's now come back to the question. Here it states when the null hypothesis is true, but as per the hypothesis testing, it is rejected, it is known as alpha. Okay, it is not beta. So this statement is incorrect. This statement is false. Okay, I hope so it is clear with you. Now let's see the next part of the question, which talks about, again I given this description. You can study it properly because this image beautifully explains the question. What is type 1 error? What is type 2 error? Now see, there are certain tests when you go for analysis. Now there are certain tests which are called as parametric and certain which are called as non-parametric. Okay, parametric are which assumed distribution is normal, and that is, okay, typical data. It can be, we generally for science student, as I told you yesterday, I have given you example of the nominal, ordinal. So here ratio or interval scale is used, and non-parametric is generally used for nominal or ordinal. Okay, I gave you an example of the Jersey number. Usual central measures for parametric are mean, and for non-parametric it is median. Benefits can draw many conclusions under parametric. Under non-parametric, simplicity less affected by the outliers. Now what are outliers? Okay, the extreme values. Test, independent measure. Okay, so these are the tests. This is little advanced at present. So these are the tests which are parametric tests. Okay, so when there is normal distribution, you can go for parametric test. And when there is non-normal distribution, non-parametric. Okay, so we have this, the under parametric we use ANOVA test, we use t-test, match, but here we use Mann-Whitney test, Kruskal-Wallis, Wilcoxon test. Okay, now to find the answer, start with the scale of measure. Yesterday I told you, if you understand what is nominal, which is just for classification, ordinal, where there is your array, there is order, but there is no equal value. But in case of interval, there is order as well as the equal value, and ratio is a pure number. Okay, so these are the examples. Marital status. Either you can be married or not. You cannot be both. So it is nominal. So use non-parametric test. Ordinal, rank or order the observations. Okay, example, education. I can say graduation, post-graduation, PhD. So I know that graduation is the is a lowest qualification and the highest one is your PhD. Okay, so here this is opinion skill. So we have non-parametric again. But in case of interval, okay, the measure of depth, you use parametric. Okay, it may be used. Again, they have put an asterisk because sometimes what happens, it completely depends upon the distribution. Ratio, parametric. The scale has a fundamental zero. Example, age. As I told you, okay, suppose in case of, if I ask you how many kids you have, you can give a pure number. You cannot say I have 2.5 kids. So again, parametric. So this is very much important because when you're going for data analysis, you should understand the scale. Okay, nominal is for what, ordinal, and which is used. Now, generally what happens, we ask non-parametric test kab lagana hai, parametric kab. So you should understand. Okay, complete story depends upon your objectives and hypothesis. Now, parametric and non-parametric, these are the names which you can study. Okay, sometimes a simple question can be asked that they will give you the name of the test and they will ask you to identify whether it is a parametric or whether it is a non-parametric. Okay, so this is used in case of parametric and this is used in case of non-parametric. Now, this is chi-square. Okay, so this is the formula for chi-square. Now, generally, when we talk about chi-square, it is considered as a non-parametric. Okay, but what happens when we go in detail, sometimes chi-square test can be parametric or sometimes it can be non-parametric also. So if I come back to the question again, it states that chi-square test is exclusively a non-parametric test. So again, it becomes a incorrect statement. It is false because chi-square test can be sometimes parametric and can be sometimes non-parametric. Now, if you have doubt about it, when you go and study chi-square in depth, you will understand that why this statement is false. Okay. So in this case, both the statements are false. So null hypothesis we are talking about. When you study about hypothesis, you study its properties, then what is null, what is alternate, how do we test them, what is type 1 error, what is type 2 error, okay, beta type error, alpha, significance, value, what is chi-square test. When you're talking about chi-square, you should understand you need to study parametric, non-parametric, right from the names to when we use what. Okay, so here correct answer is 2. Both the statements are false. I hope so you are with me and you are following my videos also. Okay, so see, so many questions from a single image also can be formed. Moving on to the next. Now, this is from business management and human resource management. Sorry, the spelling of business management is incorrect. This R has come by mistake. Okay, so business management and human resource management. Now let's read the question. Which one of the following statements is are correct about the scalar chain principle as given by Fear? Now I'm very sure if you're a commerce student, we all are very, very well versed with Henry Ford 14 principles. Okay, if you even cannot solve this question, then you need to boost up your preparation. Okay, this is very basic, which we have been studying from the first year. So they are talking about the 14 principles of management. Now, when I talk about the 14 principles of management, it means that you write from the name, person, fuel, okay, to all the 14 principles, the name, the explanation, because practical based questions are asked. Okay, now this is again something not only from the books, but actual explanation of scalar chain. Then we have scientific principles, okay, which were given by, I'm sure you know, so let me not name it. Now let's see the Henry Ford's 14 principles of management. We have division of work, which leads to specialization. What is authority? Authority and responsibility should go together. Discipline should always be maintained. If the leader or the boss is only not disciplined, then we cannot expect the employees, okay, to be the discipline. Unity of command, we all should move in the same direction, okay, for the same goal. So that becomes unity of command, unity of direction. Everything should be in order, be it man or material. Scalar chain, which we are going to study now. Centralization. Okay, centralization is the authority in the hands of a one person. Okay, now when the organization is small, centralized method is preferred. But if your organization expands, you have 10 to 15 branches, then definitely you need to go for decentralized. Remuneration, okay, the what you get in return, okay, the monetary benefits. Then this is not only interest, this is subordination of interest. In fact, when we are working as a team, okay, you should not only see the benefit of you, okay, or whatever you are going to get in return, but you have to see what is beneficial for the entire organization. So you are not only taking care of your interest, but of the organization. Equity, okay, now what is the difference between equity and equality? Stability of tenure, which means employees generally should not be kept on temporary basis for a longer period of time, because it does not give them any job stability and they always fear losing the job with no returns. Initiative and esprit de corps, which means, okay, the team management. Okay, so sometimes question can be asked on unity of command. Assertion and reasoning has been asked on unity of command. The meaning of both. Okay, now let's see. Teamwork questions has been asked, and what division of work leads to specialization. So here the question of focus is on scalar chain. Before I answer the question, let's understand what is scalar chain. If you are very well versed with this, now this talk about that when you work in a formal organization, you need to have a hierarchy. Okay, you cannot directly. Now when in the classroom a child has a problem student, he may approach the class leader, the class monitor, or the representative. If the person is not able to solve the problem, then they may approach to the class teacher. And even if the class teacher is not able to solve the problem, you may approach the principal. So this is the chain which is generally should be followed. But it is not always that the chain cannot be broken. Okay, so whenever there's an emergency, suppose there's an accident in the office, in the factory, if you follow the hierarchy chain, the person may die. So at that time, you may break the chain. So every information must pass through every key of this chain. No skipping of any one key should be allowed. But in case of emergency, when information has to be passed, so fuel has permitted a shortcut in the chain. So this is bridged by a bridge, which is called as gangplank. Okay. So in case of emergency, you are allowed to break the scalar chain. And if I advise you, whenever we are working in an organization structure, it is always better to follow the chain. Okay, you should never try to break the chain. But yes, of course, there are some situations, there are certain circumstances where you need to break the chain. Okay, never bypass your authority. So let's come to the question. Which of the following statements are correct about the scalar chain principle? Okay, so two statements are given. They have given the keyword as the scalar chain. Each communication going up or down must flow through each position. Yes. Okay, each communication, whether it is going up or down, it must flow through each position. Means you are following the hierarchy. So this is the explanation. So this is correct. Chain of communication cannot be broken under any circumstances. So this is incorrect, because as I told you, in case of emergency, such as accident, some problems arises, then you can break the chain. So here the correct answer is A. See, we know 14 principles of management. We know who has given these principles. Okay, but they have specifically picked up only one principle and framed the question. Okay, this was only statement based. Tomorrow a question can be asked related to this only topic. but assertion and reasoning. So if you understand one concept, I always request understand it in detail, because whenever we study one question, we are studying 4 topics. Now here only we can frame right from who is the propounder, then other principles which are given by Frederick Winslow Taylor, if you remember the scientific principles. So study a complete topic. Okay, now move on to the next. A mission statement should be. Now, if anyone can tell me this is from which topic, okay, this is your basic. You should understand that how we need to study, understand the syllabus, the topics which you are good, because once you know you are very good with business environment or example international business, then you can focus more on that, so that even if you are compensating any subject for your favorite topic, you don't even lose your 2 marks. So mission statement. Oh, okay, now we all know something called as mission. We have heard about the word vision, mission, aims, objectives. Okay, so they're talking about the mission statement. This is related to business. So A is self-explanatory, elaborate, distinctive, and physical. Okay, now options is either A is only correct, or A or B, A, B, and C, and A, C, and D. Now, first, before this we start, we should know what is mission. So let's understand the difference between vision and mission. As I always tell you, that whenever you study one topic, study the 4 options, because today the question is on mission, tomorrow the question can be on vision. So vision is something desired position of the business in the future, and mission is the current state and how. So the present purpose. Today I am a lecturer. Tomorrow I may achieve a higher position. So that is mission is the present and vision is the long term. Vision is a description of the why, okay? And mission is focused on the how we are going to do and why we are going to do. Not to be used for the daily operation. Vision is long term, not used daily. Mission is to be used as a management tool. Okay, why we are here. Vision is to motivate the employees. Yes, after 10 years, you will be promoted. And mission is to inform the employees about the present scenario. Statement is usually shorter and mission is usually bigger than vision. So if I compare the statements, see, when you enter a college, even we have our vision and mission. Okay, I'm a student of University of Mumbai. So when you go to university also, you will see we have written very clearly the mission and the vision of them. Okay, so now these are the some few words, terminologies, or the words you should be very familiar. Mission is why we exist. Vision is what we want to be. Presently, you are just a lecturer. Tomorrow, you want to become the principal, or maybe you want to join the board of studies member. Vision, what we want to be. So that is the future. Goals, what we must achieve for success. Okay, objectives, specific. So you describe them very in short, in very, you can say point to point. So that becomes your objectives, activities, planned action to achieve your objectives, the strategies. Okay, you know where you want to go, but how to go. Measures and indicators of success of activities, outcomes, desired level of performance of measure. Okay, now let's see goals and objectives. Now what happens when we are commerce students, we use the word goals and objectives very interchangeable. Okay, but everything when you study for net set, each and every word has a different meaning. Okay, so generally we know goals are very or objectives should be very smart, so specific. Okay, you should know what you're talking about. Now if I ask students what you want to be, if you answer I want to be APJ Abdul Kalam ji, okay, you cannot become him, but yes, you can become a good president, you can become a good teacher like him. So be specific what you want. Measurable, okay, quantified. Okay, you want to complete your research in 3 years. You cannot continue or keep on stretching it for 6 years. It should be measurable, attainable. Something should be feasible. आप हवा में बातें नहीं कर सकते. Okay, a student who has just got 40 marks cannot suddenly say I'm going to score 100%. Okay, so feasible, relevant. Okay, whatever you are going to do should be relevant. Okay, today if I'm teaching you everything other than net set, then even I'm not teaching you something relevant. And time bound, very much time specific. So goals are where you want to be. Objectives are the steps needed. So objectives are very specific. Goals broad. Ideas that are intangible, abstract, and may not be measurable. Whereas objectives are always measurable. Okay, for a short term. Okay, when your point, okay, you want to earn more profit. But if you say, by year end, I want to earn 10% more profit. So that becomes your objective. Very specific. Okay, so a mission statement should be self-explanatory. When you read the statement, it should explain. Okay, so yes, A has to be the answer. Elaborate. This cannot be the answer. Why? Because elaborate is something is very complex, something in detail. But our mission statement should be very, you can say, short. It should be self-explanatory. Okay, not very complex. So B cannot be the answer. Distinctive, yes. Each form. Now, suppose if I'm talking about Ranbaxy and somebody, and in one day I'm talking about Cipla. So both are medicine, pharmaceuticals company. Okay, they both will have the distinctive mission. I cannot copy there. So yes, it has to be distinctive and feasible, something which we can work on, something which is achievable. So here ACD should be the correct answer. So fourth option is the correct answer, because a mission statement should be self-explanatory, distinctive, and feasible. Homework for you: study mission, its features, some examples, the difference between mission and vision, and simultaneously you should study what are objectives, what are strategies. Okay, so this is very much part of your daily life also. Moving on to the next question. So again, this I have given in elaborate way, because if you study, you will understand that how beautifully we can study through images also. Now, next question is business environment and international business. Which among the following is closely associated with intellectual property rights? Okay. Now, if you know what is intellectual property rights, or maybe you are working on this, you have attended some seminars. So let's study the option GATS, TRIMS, TRIPS, MFA. Now, see, if you are studying this for the first time, understand what is GATS, its full form, why it came into existence, was it replaced by something else? Now, what is WTO? Okay, what is TRIMS, full form, why we are working towards any agreement? Similarly for TRIPS and now see, they have asked about intellectual property rights. Now, when you talk about intelligence, okay, you talk about intellectual capability, that is something creation of the mind. So similarly, now let's see what is intellectual property rights. Intellectual property is the creation of the minds of an individual, something which is intangible. Okay, you are trying to create it with the help of your mind of an individual, which has a commercial and moral value, okay, which you can sell. Now, if you have heard about patent, copyright, so this is they're talking about. Intellectual property rights grants exclusive rights to an author for utilizing and benefit from their creation. Okay, now this is very much part of a commerce syllabus. Now, you know what is patent, what is copyright. You're doing something for the first time, you are registering a patent. So when I use the word patent, okay, other than this intellectual property, you should know the Patent Act, the year, how we can file a patent. Okay, there are so many people who are working for it. Okay, is there any act for it? Okay, what should be the three main criteria that when only you can go for register a patent? Something should be unique, something should be novel. Okay, so copyright, okay, this is for authors. You cannot directly copy. See, in each and every slide I have given you the source, because it is not my work. Okay, for how many years you are getting that copyright, whether it can be publicized, whether it can be sold. Okay, trademark we all know. Design, okay, now if you see the bottle of Coca-Cola, it is different as compared to Pepsi. So design, the structure also matters. You cannot copy it. The database, okay, now whether it is software, whatever, and trade secrets. Okay, now the taste of Pepsi and Thumbs Up is different, because there is something secret in. Okay, maybe the recipe or whatever you can say, the taste. Okay, why it is so? This is anything which is creation of the mind. Okay, you need to be the owner of it. Can you sell it? Okay, you must have heard there are so many issues going on in the Bollywood because somebody has copied the song, the lyrics, or the movie copyright. So all this is part. Now it is a duty. You have heard it for the first time. Understand the acts. What are the punishment? Okay, the authorship is for how many years? Who can be the main copyright holder, or whether you are allowed to sell it for? What happens once you die? Okay, what is patent? What are the mandatory requirements to file a patent, and so on. Next, what is WTO and GATT? See, now I am talking about GATS. The first statement option was GATS. But here I am not explaining GATS because that is a homework for you. So what is different between WTO, World Trade Organization, when it came into existence, 1st January 1995, WTO replaced whom? Why WTO came into existence? What is the full form of GATT? What was not covered under GATT? So why GATS came into existence? So this, now see, even if you read this, what is multilateral treaty? Okay, what is dispute settlement? So if you study WTO, you will get in depth. Okay, right from the year, the member countries, who is the recent addition to the country, or okay, what is tariff barriers, or what are trade intellectual property rights. So all this need to be studied. Understand the syllabus, understand. Okay, so this is given information about the TRIPS. Now TRIPS is intellectual property rights. Okay, so WTO's intellectual property agreement amounts to rules for trade and investment in ideas and creativity. The rules state how copyrights, patent, trademarks, geographical names. Okay, so question can be asked, which of this is not part of WTO TRIPS? Okay, so maybe they will give you GIS. Okay, maybe they will give you GPS, which they ask you identify what is incorrect. Trademark, the meaning, patents, acts. Okay, so what is integrated circuit layout design should be protected when trade. Okay, you need to protect, because otherwise anybody is going to take credit for it. Then TRIPS and TRIPS of WTO, agreement on trade related. So see, the next option was TRIPS. Okay, Then MFN, so need to study because every question give you 4 subtopics. TRIMS refers to certain conditions or restrictions imposed by a government in respect of foreign investment in the country. So TRIMS talk about the investment, whether you are allowed to enter into the other country. Okay, what is portfolio investment, or whether you can go and buy something there. Okay, is there any protection for that? Are the both countries' investment will be treated on par? The agreement on TRIMS provide that no contracting party shall apply any TRIM which is inconsistent with the. So you need to follow the WTO guidelines. Agreement on trade-related aspect of intellectual property rights is an international agreement administered by WTO. So how many agreements are under WTO? That sets down minimum standards for many forms of intellectual property regulation as applied to nationals of other WTO members. Okay, now this was the last option in this question. Most favored nation. Now the name only suggests something. In international economics and politics, most favored nation is a status or level of treatment accorded by one state to another. Suppose now you have entered into an agreement with me. Maybe we are 4 classrooms, we are 5 colleges. Okay, so you are giving one treatment or status as level of treatment accorded by one state. So one class to another, one country to another. The term means the country which is the recipient of this treatment must receive equal level of protocol with all the other states. Okay, suppose there are 10 members in your team. So you would have to treat all the 10 members equally. The protocols may include low tariff or high. So these are the mutual benefits which are going. Okay, you form a treaty. As I told you in my last video that we have cartels. Okay, they form a oligopoly because they want to control the price. They want to control the supply. Okay, so they will decide everything. Okay, so you need to give the mutual benefit. So that is most favored nation. The most favored nation, a status awarded by one nation to another in international trade. One member is given to the another country. One's nation will not be treated worse than anyone else. Okay, it should not happen that Pakistan and India are under war. So if you're a member of that particular trading bloc or maybe the bloc, you are giving a wrong treatment or worse treatment than that. So you're treating everybody as the most favored nation, one of the cornerstones of W. But what happens in reality is something to be discussed about. Okay, so this was about the question. So see here, I'm not only studying about GATS, I'm not only studying about TRIMS, I'm not only studying about TRIPS or MFN, but I need to study WTO in depth. I need to study GATS. This is homework for you. Now TRIMS, agreement, the member countries, what is now presently going on. Maybe India has done something under this. So it is our moral duty. And I always say, when you become a lecturer, when you are at this highest level, you need to respect that you also need to know what is going on in the nation, specifically with respect to your net set syllabus. And again, commerce is a subject which cannot be restricted to books. Whatever is general, daily in the news, you will come about, we will hear about amalgamations, joint ventures, why 2 companies are coming together. Or maybe if you just read the board of the Starbucks coffee shop, it will be mentioned Atata Alliance. So what is the meaning of alliance? Okay, so you need to be well versed with all these terms because yes, it is very much part of a syllabus. So here the correct answer is intellectual property rights. It is talking about TRIPS. If it was MFN, the question would have been different. TRIPS is related to the investment and GATS is related to trade in services, which was not covered under GATT. Okay, so your homework, you need to study WTO in depth. The agreements, the year, the member countries, okay, which countries exist, okay, and so on. Okay, so hope you all study, and we know today is Teachers' Day. So I wish all my budding lecturers as well as all my teachers, and maybe you have completed your PhD, but you're still stuck with NetSet. So don't worry. We all need to study. We all are lifelong learners. In fact, when I want to introduce myself, I will never say I'm a teacher, but I'll definitely say I'm a lifelong learner of commerce. So I wish you all the best and thank you. And if you're liking my videos, just make sure you subscribe to my channel because I'll be keep updating lots of information related to NetSet. And even I've got requests to share some news. So today I only have started with that. The first slide was news about the UGC fellowship. Okay. And once again, I wish you all the best and happy Teachers' Day. Keep learning, keep growing, and always give back to your students because you never know the influence of a teacher. And tomorrow your student may become the prime minister, maybe the high court judge, or maybe someone you always wanted to be. So that's all from my side. And do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Take care. See you again.